man who has built teams of 100,000 people. This is the man who has created over 12 millionaires in the world, a man
Hi, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, the world. Can you? I hope you guys can hear me clearly. I'm on the line, and Leo Scaler was introducing Ramin, and somehow Leo got offline. And this is Sherry Zhao from California, and I was gonna continue introduce Ramin and Sinaz, and to be on the call with us. And Ramin, as everyone here know that Ramin is our amazing CEO, founder, and visionary, and because of him, we have this amazing company. So let's no longer take his time. Let's bring Ramin on the call with us. Ramin, are you there with us? Hi, Ramin, can you hear me?
Now we're muted. Hi, Sherry, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, Ramin. Take it over, please.
Okay, I guess we've been, this has happened a few times now. Tonight, I have been actually talking evidently to ourselves because no one could hear us. Somehow we got muted. I guess that explains why Leo did a second introduction and you did a third introduction. But can you hear me okay now?
I can hear loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Perfectly. Okay. So going back again, what I was saying is that we're going to go back to the basics. This is not a complicated business. We have brand new LCs that join us every day, this week, last week, and they come in and they sponsor 3, 4, 5 people in the first week. In fact, on Facebook the other day, I read that somebody came in and sponsored 3 people in the same day. Brand new LC. What does that tell you? It's not a complicated business, but if you've been in a business for quite some time, you have all these tools at disposal, all of a sudden, since you don't know how to use the tools, then you end up not using any of them at all. So what we're going to do tonight, simplify the business to the way it should be. That's one thing. The second thing we're going to talk about is this. Don't confuse yourself and your team if you come across something that's unclear to you. I find that sometimes distributors, even some old distributors, if they find that the information conflicting of another information, and they stop working. There's no reason to stop working. There doesn't always have to be right and wrong. There could be 2 rights. So if you get 2 different information and for you there's a contradiction, pick the one you like and run with it. Don't stop working because the minute, that should not be confusing. There's more than one way to do a business. What I'm saying is that, again, don't stop working just because something is not clear to you. Call the offline, get it clarified. And most of the time, these confusions, or they're not really confusions at all. It's just misunderstandings. So those are the type of things that I'm going to bring up after being on the Power Tour, talking to a lot of leaders and LCs. And I'm going to address a few things that I saw in different cities that I went to. Now, we have a lot of tools, folks. We have a state-of-the-art online platform. We got amazing print material, and we're so fortunate. When I was on the field building teams, we would never received any print or any third party talking about our companies, never. So what we had to do is get some generic material. So, for example, if I was in health and nutrition and we were selling a juice product and a herbal product, we went and got some generic material on, say, for example, what a ginseng does for your body. And then we used to get those things printed and give it to our prospects. But look, you look at ginseng, this sarsaparilla, all these things. Here's what they do. We just happen to have them in our drink because we couldn't find a single third-party credibility testimonial for our companies. So we use generic materials. In this company, the world is talking about your company. This is the easiest business on the planet to promote. Why? Because the world media is highly mesmerized by our company. Hence, we got the MacPack. So you only need three things to do this business. So if I was on the field, start building this, doesn't matter what city, let's assume I'm in a brand new city, because that's probably the toughest one. If you are in Toronto or Montreal or Ottawa or Alberta, some of these existing cities with existing support system, that's not so tough, that's easy to do. But let's assume you're in a brand new market. So even if you are in Toronto, assume you're the only distributor in Toronto. So you only need three things to do this business. If I started anywhere in the world, all you need is, number one, MacPack, number two, lookbook, number three, a napkin. That's all you need to do this business. A MacPack, a lookbook, and a napkin. So, because when I build a business, I keep things very, very simple. And what I find is a lot of new people that come in, they make things tough on themselves. A lot of distributors just make it tougher. They try to come up with a fancy way of presenting the business, and next thing you know, they say too much, say stuff that's irrelevant. The attitude isn't there. They got so much information that all of a sudden, as the information goes up, the enthusiasm goes down. So they don't have much enthusiasm. It's full of facts. They become luxury consultants as opposed to being distributors. What I mean by that is there's two sides to a business. If you promote a product to sell products, be a luxury consultant. We have luxury products, we're a luxury designer, so be a luxury consultant. If you're out there building a business, MLM business, become a distributor. Don't act, you cannot get away from enthusiasm when you promote a business plan. Go out there and sell the hell of the compensation plan. Go out and sell the numbers. Don't become too fancy, don't become too slick. So when you're selling products, be a luxury consultant. When you're selling the business plan, become a multi-level MLMer. Sell the numbers. And that starts with enthusiasm. So if I started today, if I was in a brand new city, let's just say in Arizona, somewhere, it doesn't matter. The first thing I do, I start getting into my forensic list making. If you don't have the forensic box, they're available on the promo site, you can buy them. So forensic box, the candidate list, and the basic information is what you use with day-to-day GMO, the only method of operation is on your kits. So I get my forensic box out. I start writing my top 7 website list. Hopefully they're local to me. If they're not, doesn't matter. I get my top 7. Those are people I know very well, done business with them. They're multi-level people. They're business people. I know that they're good. So these are not the people who you feel they need to make money. It's not the need more people. It's the want more people. Big difference between the two. If you keep on going after you need more people who, you know that they're struggling, they're suffering, I'm not saying to discount those folks, no. They'll get on your list. But you're not the first people you're going to call. You want to go after people who want more. There's a lot of people that complain about everything, but not willing to do anything about it. For me, I had no time for that. For me, I talked to everybody, but very first I went after people I knew that were go-getters. People I knew that were open-minded. What you'll also find most of the time, people who really need they're actually not open-minded at all. They're very skeptical. Hence, they really need. Hence, because you cannot be closed-minded and succeed in anything. So I'll get my top 7 hotshot list. These are people that I know, good business people. Maybe they're great in sales. Not that necessarily you need them. I'm just saying, multi-level people who have done business in the past, smart, people who just want more, they want a great life. The best prospects, in MLM world is this. People who had a lot, lost it, now they want it more, they want it back. So people who had a huge background and they lost it, they're your number 1 prospects. Why? They've tasted it, they want it back. Everyone else, if they've not tasted it, some of them are skeptical because they can't see themselves being there. Which have been there already, these are the best folks to have. Now, don't go still looking for those people. I'm just saying, giving you some tips here that what are ideal. At the end of the day, you all know a bunch of good business people they can talk to. Once I get my hotshot 7, I go for more than 250. I'll keep on going through my Rolex. I go through my iPhone. Because I want those people, if they're on my iPhone, that means I'm doing something with them. That's what they're on my iPhone. So I'll go on the candidate list on the forensic box. If you don't have anything in a brand new area, I go to malls and start picking up business cards. Everywhere you go, there's Avon catalogs. Everywhere you go, there's people putting up cards from real estate, from insurance, for the MLM companies. Pick them up, staple it to a candidate sheet. Build up your box that way. Even now, I have over 1,760 names in my demo box from the days that I used to do, I build a team on the field. So you keep on building that. That never stops. So everywhere you go, pick up cards. Now, when you go to pick up, when you go to call to prospect them, always establish like and trust. Always establish like and trust. Very, very important. So you can make a nice little comment about them, their car, their shoes, their dog, whatever it is, the city, whatever it is. Always try to build like and trust. And with the technique that we choose, we've been training is form, family, occupation, recreation, money. You can do that. You can build like within about 30 seconds. You know, if you have to in the elevator, you know, walking by somewhere quickly, or you can do it in about half an hour if you have the time. So what's important prospecting is that they'll like you, and then they want to have more conversations with you. And when you start, if you want to ask for someone's telephone number, you don't have to, can I get your number and call you? People generally don't respond well to that. Look, social psychologists have done studies. Big sales organizations like IBM, Xerox have spent tens of millions of dollars. Tony Robbins talks about this all the time. On 7 words trigger certain things in the human mind. So when I was asking people for their phone number, I wouldn't say, can I get your phone number? I'll call you and we'll talk, we'll have a conversation. You know, because that may or may not work. The question to ask is, what is the best number to get in touch with you? Not, can I get your phone number? That's too personal. What is the best number to get in touch with you? That's non-personal. And we're going to find 99% of the time, they'll give you those numbers. Most of the time, that's even the cell phone numbers. So how's the sound reception right now, Sean and Sherry? Just want to sound check.
Hi, Ramin. We got a lot of feedback actually from the field saying your voice is like kind of up and down. If you can speak closer to the speaker, I think will be better.
Okay. So I'm at actually had an interesting day today. I'm at Mount Tremblant, gorgeous location in Quebec, and we had one of the worst storms, and where the entire village lost their electricity. So luckily my laptop was loaded. My iPhone was dead, so I charged my iPhone through my laptop, sitting in the balcony now, in the dark. I'm doing this. So I'm literally in the dark. So if you folks can hear me, say something, and I'll do what I can. Can you hear me well okay now?
I can hear loud and clear, yes. Now it's good.
Perfect.
Thank
All
you.
right. So again, what is the best number to get a hold of you? You want to write that down. Now, can I get your phone number? If you give somebody a Mac bag, give somebody a prospecting card. So by the way, why don't you dial this number? Check the website. By the way, what's the best number to get in touch with you? And you and I will have a conversation. The key word is conversation. People don't like to go to meetings, see presentations sometimes, but everybody likes to have a conversation. So it's those key words that gets a prospect to say, yes, let's make an appointment and let's meet. So build like and trust. What's the best number to get in touch with you so we can have a conversation next week? Now, sometimes you do prospecting, things go very well, and it happens to all of you. Where you lose your prospect is that once you've got that number, your job is done. Go back to like and trust. But what happens all the time is that they're excited, they give you the telephone number, they ask about the business, and you make the vital mistake of responding to that. You cannot socialize this business, folks. I wrote the plan, I cannot socialize it. If I can't do it, you can. It's a visual business. Write it down. It's a visual business. People have to see it. Even your own family and friends may love you, but you don't pay the bills. They have to see their business, not hear it from you. You cannot do it justice. So after you get the telephone number, and even the prospect who wants to talk about it, say, you know what, Joanne, we'll have a conversation about this next week. You're going to have to see it's a visual business. Go back to like and trust. So like trust, ask for the best number. When you get it, go back to like and trust. Bite your tongue till it bleeds. Do not engage in a business conversation. 100% of the time, you will lose the prospect. There's a time where you say too much, and then the emotions go away, the logic sets in, the prospects understand, then starts to think, oh, I think I know what this is, because it resembles everything else I've heard from other companies, or Aunt Matilda who joined Amway 30 years ago. So when you start talking without them seeing it, you lose them, because then they think, with the fractured information that you just gave them, then they think they know what this is. Don't make that mistake. Bite your tongue till it bleeds. Like and trust. That's your job. The visual business, the only time they're going to see it is when they see a actual tour, when you sit with them to go through the MacPack and the lookbook. So we talked about you need three things. You need the lookbook, you need the MacPack, and you need a napkin. We're going to talk about later on the 5-minute napkin presentation that I've used to bring so many people in the business, including Sanat Human. We did in a restaurant. It wasn't in 5 minutes, because back then we didn't have the lookbook. Back then we did not have the MacPack. So I only did my napkin presentation, and she said, I'm in. And here we are 8 years later. So going to a different topic now. We talked about the key factors of prospecting. Like trust, best number, conversation, like trust again. When you set an appointment, going back again to the like trust again, it's the most important aspect of any sales process, folks. The 1%, we're not talking 80-20 now, we're talking the 1% that make millions in sales. You understand and practice this, the like and trust factor. So when you talk to them, you build a like and trust where you know them or not. If you know them, that you've already have built like and trust with them. If you don't, you have to build it. At the end of the day, you want to set the appointment only. Again, when the appointment is set, don't engage in business conversation. It's another pitfall. First pitfall is when you're trying to get the number and they ask you questions that you have to try to not engage in. The second time is when you got the number, you call them to build an appointment. You get the appointment, they will again try to press you for information. Don't do it. When the appointment is set, like trust, like trust, like trust, go back to that again. Remember, 66% of them saying yes to you anyways is that they have to like you first. Second, they have to trust you. So does it make sense just to spend most of the time, 2/3 of your time on those two factors? The people that understand this, the people who make millions in sales, they understand this and they do it all the time. We hear this all the time in sales. They say, well, sell yourself first. Well, that's a generic way of putting it. I like to be very specific about things. It means the same thing, but sell yourself first is basically build like and trust. Like is about them. You ask a lot of questions. When you ask questions, people talk about themselves. People like talking about themselves. And when you listen to it genuinely, then they like you because you're listening to them talk. People like to talk about themselves. Trust. Trust is not necessarily them to trusting you because they might not know you. They have to be. It's the factor that it's your targets that they will have to trust. For example, the reasons why you are in this business, the reason why you're building a business. You know, I send my kids to Harvard, more vacation, less stress, hate my job, I will retire early. Whatever those reasons are, they guarantee you the exact same things that your prospects want. So they don't have to know you, but the stuff, what got you in this business chances are your prospects want the exact same thing. So they have to trust the reasons why you are doing this. And then once you establish that, which is easy to do, then all of a sudden you're ready for part 3, which is the benefits, understanding the benefits of your product and service. So stage 1, like. Stage 2, trust. Number 3, understanding the benefits. Now the benefits comes in the tour. That's not your job too. So that's why I'm saying when you're doing an appointment phase and in the prospecting phase, that's not where you do the tour. That's part 3. Only do like and trust in the appointment phase and prospecting phase. Part 3 is the tour. Now when you get the tour, you set the appointment, you get the tour, then there's a number of ways of doing this. Now I've always built my team, and you can talk to anyone, every self-made millionaire, true self-made millionaire that I know in MLM, and I know a lot of them, that build this business belly to belly. There's other tools you could use through emails and keyboards and online platform. That's all tools. That's not the way you build a business. That's how you build a tool. It's a tool to use. In the old days when I was building, there was no internet, so we used the telephone to actually make the appointment. Well, you could do some of that online. You can do some of that to build, we actually call people to make appointments. Now you can send emails. I still don't believe that it's not as effective, but it's a tool, especially for long-distance prospecting. So if you use them as a tool, you've got yourself a great ally. If you use them as the only way of building a business, you're going to lose the business, because it's not something that, at the end of the day, it's, this business is about like and trust. If they don't like and trust you, if you just build it strictly online, and that's what you keep on doing it, as soon as someone else comes along with another program with a pitch, you're going to lose your team. So when I built teams in the old days, our people were diehards. They wouldn't go anywhere because of time that we actually put in. So because at the end of the day, they want to build a partnership, a long-term relationship with someone that they're going to be there, use, and promote the product and the business for 10 years to come. You can only do that when you do it face-to-face. So going back again, once you've got to the tour factor, there are 3 ways of doing this. Now, if the prospect is local to you, very first place to build a business is your home. I've said it over and over and over again. This is a home-based business, not a hotel-based business, or office-based business. Your first place to build it is in your home. And your home doesn't have to be fancy. I understand we're in the MLM business, and we always want to show the mansions. You don't have to do this. That's a myth in the industry. Your home has to be tasteful. It doesn't have to be fancy. I know it's be clean, but it doesn't have to be fancy. And when you build it from home, that really inspires people. I'll go as far as saying this. Myself, all the top leaders, we always had big homes. We didn't start with big homes. We started with a little home. Then after we started making a lot of money, then it became big homes. But even when we had big homes, what we did was we had fancy offices in our homes. We actually didn't even use our offices to do our tours. Why? Because not everyone has an office in their home. Maybe somebody lives in a condo. But we always utilize our kitchen table to do a tour. Why? Everyone has a kitchen table. Even when I had an office, fancy office in my basement, I actually used my living room to become the master of the living room. And use the kitchen. If it's a group of people, if it's one person, the kitchen table. Everyone can do that. It duplicates. Number 1 place to build a business, your home. Number 2, mutual place. I love coffee shops. I think it's a fantastic place to meet people. And I would like to go somewhere like Starbucks, somewhere where, I would go early, make sure that, I can find a corner where, the person's not looking at the street. Where I put the prospect is looking at the wall behind me, so he's not distracted by people walking by or kids or running around or fancy cars going by or whatever. So coffee shops are a fantastic mutual place to meet people and do a tour. So number 1 place is your home because you got full control. Number 2 place is a mutual place. You got less control. Number 3 place, and still good, is their home. If I went to my prospect's home because for whatever the reason, I happened to be in a new city, and say when I was building, say in Windsor, when I lived in Ottawa, it's a 9-hour drive, I would actually make appointments at their home because I had to. So that's fine. I just made sure that they understand that I need 45 minutes uninterrupted at their home. So again, Their home is okay too, as long as they understand, and vast majority of prospects understand and respect that. They put the kids away, they put the dogs away, whatever the case is, you'll sit down, you spend 45 minutes with them. So your home, coffee shop, their home. Now, once you've done that, the important part is this. If you are, I know some cities only have one meeting a week, for example. Some cities that we're in, you guys only have only one meeting a week. If you're waiting for that one day to do your tour, that means you've reduced your chances to once a week for someone to say yes. At best scenario, they'll show up, because sometimes they can't show up. So now if they can't show up for 1 week, now you got 2 weeks before you can get that prospect to come out, sometimes 3 or 4 weeks. Why would you slow your business down that much? It makes no sense at all. So if your first option is my house, coffee shop, their house, I'll make the appointment next 48 hours. Even if they miss it, we got another 48 hours. So we keep on, I'll reduce the time frame it would take for us to actually get face-to-face. I'll do the presentation. Now, best scenario, let's assume they show up to your tour, weekly tour. Now, they look at it, and they even like it, but now sometimes they need to go back home, they want to check out the website, they want to talk to the spouse. Now, all of a sudden, they've left the tour, now you're waiting for them to do other things. If you wait with them up front, they've seen the tour, they've done all of that, before they come to the office or they come to the hotel tour, they've done all of that. At the hotel tour office, it is decision time. They don't need to go and think about and pray about it anymore. It's decision time. That's why it's so important that you do your tours every day. Now, if you're part-time, that's fine. It's fine. I always said this has to become the most important thing in your life, just amongst other important things in your life. It has to become as important as your job. It has to become as important as anything else you do. It doesn't have to take as much time. You don't have to do it 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, but it has to become as important. So you're the boss, you're the CEO, you decide 1 or 2 days a week, 2 or 3 hours a day. That's fine. But in those time zones, that frames that you've decided, much like if you had a job and you must show up to it, this is the most important thing. Remember one thing, you write this down. What you put out is what you get back. What you put out is what you get back. What you put out in your business is what you get back. You can't treat your business like a second or third class citizen or business and all of a sudden expect it to make you $10,000 a month to get you out of your job. No one's, I've talked, I guess, for 8 years since we started this business. We're not here for that. You've got to commit. You've got to start respecting your business. And I go to city to city to city, and I look around. And everywhere I go, there's a few people that got their backpacks in the bags. I don't see a lot of people having it outside and giving it to the prospects and going through the lookbooks. I don't see that, and I don't understand why. If I had someone there and I had the world media talking about my company, I'd be bragging about it to anyone that would listen or walking by. We've been here in this resort for the last couple of days. 3 people bought the backpack and their lookbook, and there's several conversations with people. We're out there, people are interested, and we're showing off with it. You need to do that constantly. If you don't use the tools, then you're going to have to rely on your information and your own credibility, and they don't know you, especially if you're new. You don't even know much about that. It's a visual business anyway. It doesn't even matter if you're new or not. People have to see. Every single one of you should be carrying the backpack just like you carry in the lookbook, just like you carry your wallets. It should be there with you. If you got a prospect, they have it before the tour. They're going through it because that brings up their emotions high. We got a gorgeous, gorgeous lookbook. So when you take them to the backpack and lookbook, the emotions are skyrocketed before the tour. Now they're open-minded. They listen to the speaker, and then they're ready to make a decision. So don't expect the tour to do that. That's the tools. Especially now the tours have really shrunk. When we first got started, our tours were like 45 slides. Now it's really shrunk because we don't need to do that anymore. We got these amazing tools that can do that within 3 to 4 minutes. Things that would take weeks to try to establish for credibility, how good our products are or how credible our company is, we do it in 3 or 4 minutes. Other companies outside GWT, they have to deal with months or weeks of, well, this is not a permit scheme because no one's talking about their company. They're not sitting on the front page of American Business Journal or Canadian Business Jewelers Magazine talking about their product line. They don't have any of these third-party credibility. So If you're outside GWT, you're going to have to spend hours dealing with it. Is this one of those permanent things? Or, is a product really that good? Is the product going to work? Every other distributor outside GWT has to deal with those things because they don't have third-party credibility. The world media is not talking about them. You don't. Everyone else is selling your product, telling you how good it is. Everyone else talking about how good your product, your business is. Therefore, why not use it? If you get anyone telling you that this is one of those things, that means you didn't do your job. You didn't have the Mac pack, you didn't have the lookbook, you make your life so much tougher. I don't know, I guess the lookbook maybe costs $1, a Mac pack, maybe it'll cost, I don't know, $2 or $3, I'm not really sure, but $3 or $4, you can get your prospect to completely trust your business and product, and all you got to do now, show them the numbers. It's a damn good investment. So there's a number of ways of doing it. I assure with you that the best place is at your home. Second, mutual place, third, their home. The hotel meetings are great. Support every single one of them. It's ideal that obviously you bring guests if it's last minute, but it's ideal that the hotel tours or the office tours are the second time or the third time that your prospect has seen it, because it's decision time. It's a powerful, powerful, powerful platform having all these other LCs around. So that's decision time. If we can get them the questions cleared up before the office visit or the hotel visit, you're going to have yourself lots of sign-ups at the meetings. So there's a couple of ways of doing one-on-one doing tours outside the hotel, one-on-one and two-on-one. Two-on-one is something that's very important. I don't see enough of it in our company. We used to do it all the time. And that is, if you're new, you want to get your upline, let's just say you're qualified upline, to do your tour for you, either face-to-face or online. You can do this online very, very well. So I always say, look, although we have this great videos and stuff, and I think it's a fantastic tool, if I had a prospect, again, we talk about how I would build it. If I had a prospect that was local to me within driving distance, I would want to get in front of face-to-face, because we have a connection. I could build my like and trust. I can answer the questions, and at that point, I can do the closing process, joint process. It's very difficult to do that online. It takes much, much, much longer to do. So if it's within your city, driving distance, it's possible. Try to get in front of them. I mean, that means you want to download the latest PowerPoint. We have them always on the News Central. If you want to find something, the most updated documents, always go to the website. Because some of you folks may have received your kit years ago, and obviously you had those PowerPoints, but they're not updated. Make sure you go to your back office, News Central, download always the latest, print it properly and meaningfully, in nice color. You can actually download them, bring them to Staples, and get them professionally. Point is that get the latest documents and meet with them face-to-face. Most important thing to do. If you got your upline there, it's important. I get this a lot when I go on the road, and I see, even with me, people introduce me to their prospects, and as I'm talking to the prospect, they interrupt me. And the reason why they interrupt is not because they're being rude. They don't know any better. They get excited because they see, as I'm talking to the prospect is getting excited, asking the right questions. Next thing you know, the distributor, the LC, jumps right in, and they start answering the questions that they're being asked of me to do. If it happens to me, it happens to all the uplines. Don't do that. If you have your upline next to you to do the tour or online, you zip. You're not there to answer any questions. The minute you interrupt your upline, two things will happen. One of them is he loses his flow, because he has a flow of how he wants things to go. He's done his like and trust. He knows his game plan. The minute you interrupt him, you take him off his flow. The second part is, if you know more than your upline, then he shouldn't be there. You discredit him. So your job is not to answer questions. Your job is just to bite your tongue and edify your upline, and properly. You make sure that, I've seen some really bad edification. Spend about 5 minutes, understand who your qualified upline is, what the background is, what they've accomplished in GWT, how many people they have, and the upline will tell you what's the key factors that they want presented. So you want to make sure you get that, you understand that, you memorize that, and it's your job to edify properly the upline who's going to, don't take 10 minutes doing it. You don't need to do that, but it's important that you because offline can't do it themselves. It's bragging, right? You can't talk about yourself. It's the LC that has to do this. These are the most basic or the most important factors. Remember, this whole process of human beings interacting with each other, it's all about psychology. It's about the little things. And once you do those little things, you're going to find people would want to follow you. People would want to work with you. People will get inspired by you. If you don't do these little things, that's the difference between, I guess, the 80 and 20 and the 1% and the 99% that go make millions. It's the details. I can give it a pot, the vegetables, the meat, the potato, put it in water, and it becomes a horrible soup. The minute you put some spices, salt, and pepper, that's when it becomes a good soup. It's the little things that makes it all work together. So you want to make sure that we go back to the basics. So if you got to start utilizing 2-in-1 online, on the phone, in person, and when they're there, your only job is to edify and just be quiet. Let the qualified upline to do this. Now, if you're new and your person who brought you in is also brand new, that's not a qualified upline. We're talking about people, keep going up above in your upline list to find someone who's been doing this for a while. And it's very easy in our business because we have such amazing communication tools, our Facebook tools, but so many different ways. You'll know who your qualified uplines are. Put yourself on their map. Again, if I was brand new, I'll find out, and the person who introduced me was brand new, I'll find out who are the top players in this company. It's a binary system, so every single one of you has some very serious top earners in your upline. I'll find out who they are. I'll pick up the phone. I'll call them. Let's assume I'll pick up the phone, call Rezo, Leo, or Renee. Say, look, my name is Ramin. I just got in the business. You don't know me. Merry Christmas. Just got me in the business. I understand that, you're one of the top few in the company, award winner. Would you do me a favor? Can you tell me your story? Don't worry. They know what to say. So when I got the story, and what I've also done by making that phone call, I just put myself on their map. Oh, I got this guy in Arizona. He picked up the phone and called me, so I want to work with this guy. There's always he's a spark. So again, those basic little things that you got to do, get yourself on the map of the upline. You start using it for the 2-in-1, online or in person. Again, your job when you use them on 2-in-1 to edify. After that, just be quiet. And when it comes to hotel meetings, again, I'm all over the map with this because I've just seen certain things we need to work on, some basic things that's missing. So in this power tour, I go city to city to city, I find things aren't very organized. 7-8 years ago, when we got started, with far less, we're doing things so much more efficiently and so much better. So all it is that because the company became so fancy, we have so many tools that a lot of people stop teaching the most basic of things. In the meetings, be extremely organized. Make sure your music is on before and at the minute the meeting ends, the tour ends. Silence is a bad thing, especially right afterwards. Make sure surveys are ready. The post-tour activity is extremely important. So the minute, there is a host script on the News Central, get the host script, memorize it. So I go to the city and then I find the hosts are out there winging it. You can't wing this. People are out there. We don't need to become professional speakers, but at least we need to put some time and effort into this. There's a lot of prospects out there, and we will ask them to invest with us into their future. And if they're going to make that investment, at least we want to be professionals and we know what we're doing. This stuff is not difficult to do. All it is that it wasn't passed on. So what we want to make sure is that whoever is the host, first of all, very upbeat. The tempo, take the host script. Make sure you memorize it. You're very, very fluent at it before and afterwards. Finish strong. As soon as the host is done, the music comes automatically. So it's not the same guy who's doing the host, a girl who's doing the host is putting the music on. No, someone else is handling the music. We don't want any silence there. Don't sit there and give the survey and walk away. I've seen this happen a lot. No, it's your job to do the survey. So if I had a guest there and I had the survey with me, I would take the survey, I would have a little board, and as I would sit down with my prospect, I would ask the question, and I would write down the answers. It gives us a good interaction back and forth. I can answer more questions, do a lot of clarification. Giving them a survey and walking away, first of all, they don't like that. They sit there on their own, and then they just want you to get up and go home. Secondly, you don't give them opportunity to ask questions. And people don't want to make decisions, so it's your job to direct and guide at that moment where they need to be going. So I would sit down and ask the questions, and I would just write it down. Now, the one thing I heard one time is from someone that, look, what do we do? Because if we've heard that do the survey, and then we've heard from some other people that just go right to the packages and sign them up. Look, if you've done everything right, you've got enough like and trust with your prospect, you already know if they're ready to get in or not. You'll know right away if they're ready to jump on board or they need a little bit more clarification. So what you want to do is that if they're ready, you don't need to go through the survey part, go right to packages. Because you know they're ready. You've done enough like and trust, and they've told you they're excited, enthusiastic, go right to the packages. But if you're still not ready, they're still not, they're holding back a little bit, you're still not sure, then you go through the survey with them, and then you go through the packages. But most importantly, don't let little decisions like this or the little, what seems to be a contradiction because it really isn't, don't let stuff like that slow you down. Don't let something that you feel is confusing you stop you from doing work. And I've actually heard people say, my people don't know what to do. But just take one and run with it. And the one thing you don't want to do is stop working. So at the end of the day, it can be organized. Your tours is a representation of the company. This is another reason why we eliminated the product display in every meeting, in every tour now. All you need to do is FFA 1 and 2, because that's the business package we'll start with. There is no product display you could put up in any city in the world that's going to represent who we really are from the product standpoint. Unless you're going to put a world-class gallery in your city. Outside that, multi-million-dollar gallery, outside that you can. So, but good news is you don't have to. With the introduction of the lookbook, our business completely changed. So, in fact, if you do a product display, it is degrading, it is hurting you more than it's helping you. Here's the reason why. The person that comes in, they look at the few pieces you have there. Some of them already been used because different people just kind of get together, bringing the pieces out. And they think, well, that's your product line. Don't do that. We have 1,400 SKUs. So what we want to do is that put the FFA 1 and 2, because that's the package to start with. And before the tour, give them a lookbook. Don't be cheap. These products, these catalogs, we spend months to develop them for you. It's there for you to give your prospects. It's there they make you money. It's not that to stay in your briefcase. You should be ordering hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. 25 lookbooks should last you a week. It doesn't do you any more good. It's not going to make you any money sitting in your cabinet or in your briefcase. So before the tour, they're going through the lookbook, and you're going through with them. Kind of go through it. Don't get into the business side of things. How you do the business. Don't do that. Bite your tongue. That's the tour does that. Or how much does it get to get started? That's the tour does all of that. You're not there to do that. You're just going to go through different parts of the lookbook. Now, when they take a look at the lookbook really represents our product lines well. We have about 700-800 SKUs there, some of the best. There's we have all the media there. We have all the celebrities there. That's what you need for your prospect before the tour. After the tour, the only thing they need to focus on is the packages, and FFA being on display is vital because people look at that. I've seen people say dozens of times, for $399, I get all of that. I get 10 ferries for $399. Of course, you got not just have the ferry, you got the lookbook package. Everything in those packages in the bib it's on there. So you got the bib 1 and bib 2, and you got the lookbooks, you got the backpack, whatever the package is, it's all there. And the person says, I get all of that for $1,500. If I go to Diamond, I get all of that, plus I get $2,250 at wholesale, which is $4,500 worth of products on top of that. So that's why we're cleaning things up now, mainstreaming things, and we see the results. Phenomenal results on this. Make sure even if you're doing tours at home, you got your BIP 1 and BIP 2 displayed somewhere, quietly, somewhere. If you're not displayed, at least you have it in a briefcase very tastefully done so you could see it. Because once it's decision time, it's about you're going to get this package included in any of these packages that you want to choose from. So we're going to get soon to the 5-minute napkin presentations that I do. I'm just going to go through a couple of my notes here. Okay, post-tour. After the tour, you want to assess the energy. Okay? I talked about doing the survey yourself. If you find you're sitting in a room that the energy is low, check your person. Hey, listen, John, let's go get a glass of water or let's get a coffee and find a place to sit down and have a conversation. So I'll take him away if I see the energy is low, because I've done this for 22 years. Sometimes it is like that in meetings. If the energy is high, I want to sit right there. So I take out the survey and I take and go over it with them. If you get a new LC, welcome them very, very loudly. I know Reza does that very well in his team, in his meetings. That's why the activity is so high. You want to make sure that if you have somebody that you know already going to join, as soon as the tour ends. So, John, you ready to get started? Yeah, let's get started. Let me welcome you. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome John. So you want to make sure you start that momentum. Post-tour is 100% momentum-based. We have a chapter in Forensic called the post-tour. So you want to make sure you start that momentum right away after tour is done. So have them meet as many team members as possible. Say hello to hello and goodbye to as many LCs. So if I have a guest, I want to make sure that he sees his family environment, because that represents hope for them. Because our job world is very negative. You're always on your own. Nobody wants to help you. Just think about it. If you have a job, whoever your job is comes up to you and say, let me help you with your job. That just doesn't happen. So you want to make sure if I have a guest, I bring you to a tour, I want to make sure that I say hello to as many people as possible. I'm not having conversations, but my prospect will know these people really like each other and work together. That team work represents hope for them. Even when I'm leaving, I say goodbye to as many people as possible. Let them see the social aspect of our business. Again, the team factor, very, very important. Most importantly, your prospect or the brand new LC who joined you tonight should never, ever, 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 ever go home without a backpack. Ever. Listen, nature knows this. You know this. So I was at the pool today. I brought the great one there, and Reza came with his kids, and we have them at the pool. I was just sitting there watching every parent, fathers or mothers. They got the little kids in the pool. And you know, as the kids playing, the mom or dad was hanging around. When the great one was playing, I was hanging around. Why? In nature, we know we do not leave the young alone. We want to protect them. Even animals know that. You see a cow, the calf, they're right next to each other. Always you see the mom and dad hang around their babies and the kids. Why? To protect them from nature, from environment. So you got a brand new prospect who's a baby in this business or a consultant. You're going to send them to the negative world without any protection. You can't be with them. So at the very least, what you can do, send them home with a backpack. Don't be cheap. It's a great investment. It's a great investment. You put a lot of time into this prospect. It's a very good investment. At the very most, if you decide not to get them, you can always ask for it back. That's fine. But send them home with a backpack. So when you get into this business, we include some in your package, but you're going to have to order more of it. It's vital. So when they go home, they run into a sunblock, somebody negative, and at least, oh, listen, before you say anything, before you compare this to anything else you think you might know, here's a backpack. Look at who's talking about this company. Canadian Jewelers, Vivo, American Business Journal, Canadian Business Journal, and so on and so forth. When the people see all of this, and at least the sunblock, now 99% will stop talking. So it's really, really important that you send them home with it. And I've seen people many times, they go and they come back, they actually bring this partner or spouse with them. And the reason why the spouse actually now decided to come to take a look, either for their wife or now they're interested, is because of the backpack. A third party. Make sure you order a lot of them. Even after they join, post-join. You know, you want to make sure you have them meet all your uplines. If I meet a new LC, one of the first questions I ask is, who's your sponsor? Then I trace out to, I want to know who are the top leaders in that line. My question to the brand new LC is, okay, have you talked to Renee? Have you talked to Sherry? Have you talked to Lior? And if they say no, I look at the sponsor. Like, how's it possible? The person's been in business for 2 weeks. They haven't even talked to top earners of the company yet? Like, what does that make any sense? If I'm a brand new person, the very first, I found an excuse the very same night that they signed. I found excuses. Even if the prospect didn't want to, if my new distributor didn't want to, I found excuses to get them on the phone with the guys at the top. I wanted to make sure my new LC, my new distributor was on their map. So now I open up the line of communication. So if I'm busy, I'm aware, I'm around, I'm not around, I travel a lot, at least they know they can pick up the phone, call someone else when it's time for them to do the business. If you don't do that, and if you're not around, if you're busy, they're holding the business until they find you. Why do I want to slow my business down that much? There is a whole bunch of people above you who will be available when you're not. Open the line of communication right away, so and then let them start supporting your new people. That puts money in your pocket. Very, very important. Again, basics, but vital. Make sure you do with every single prospect and every single LC that you bring in. Reaffirm decision. So if they join tonight, we all get cool treats. How many times you've gone to the store, bought something, and next day you ask yourself, wow, what did I buy this for? That happens in this business too. Very next day, you want to make sure you pick up the phone and call them. Hey, listen, Mary, I want to say I'm excited about you coming up business. I was on the phone this morning talking to 2 more people. Hey, listen, I can't wait to start working with you, and let's build this empire together. I'm revved up. We need to get you through the orientation and start setting up appointments to get them on the orientation, give them the orientation, or let's get together, have a coffee. I want to tell you, Mary, you made the right decision. You're going to have so much fun. Fun is important. When you start making the call the next day, and make sure we give them that, we leave them a message like that, they feel great about their decision. I'm telling you, imagine if you went to Winners, I know ladies love that, you bought something and you just went home, you weren't happy with it, and the next day the CEO of Winners calls or the store owner calls and say, hey, listen, Mary, you were at our store yesterday, bought something, I want to say we appreciate your business, you're you're valuable to us, just want to touch base, make sure that you enjoyed your service here. You can forget about not liking the product anymore. That's what you need to do. Reaffirm, reaffirm, reaffirm. Again, you see me do that every time somebody joins at the meeting. If you introduce a new person to me, the first thing I said to them, you've made the right decision. It's important that they hear that from you, that you believe in this, that they made the right decision. And like I said, you want to set a time for orientation. Now, the 5 minutes napkin presentation. You guys should be doing this with everybody. Everybody does 2 things. The 5 minutes napkin presentation will either get them in the business for you, which is fine, or at least it gets them intrigued enough to see a complete tour. Absolutely necessary. Most importantly, sometimes you I know that when you're new, you don't know how to approach professionals. We always say you want to be successful in this business, you want to sponsor up, not sponsor down. So if everybody you bring in is financially worse than you are, or if you run into a situation where people can't even afford the $199 or the $399, you're sponsoring down. Because you don't know how to approach people who are at your level or higher. The napkin presentation is perfect for that. And I did that one time for Moses, actually, in Alberta, in an IHOP. So, and I do this all the time. This is how I got Sanat Suma in the business. Here's how the napkin presentation works. Very first thing, you're given a mag pack. And the mag pack, I go through, I don't spend a lot of time, but quickly within 30, 45 seconds, explain each publication and what they said. So you should have read the story, highlighted the key notes that you want to memorize. For example, Canadian Jewelers, in Article 1, they call Fairy Mosh unimaginable, ultra luxury jewelry collection. That is something you want to highlight and you want to repeat. In the 3rd article, they call very much the best of the best. You know, Canadian Jewelers, American Business Journal, they started their article by saying investors, I don't know exactly the wording, investors are basically waiting impatiently for the release of the fairy president. Right? So you want to make sure you read those stories and you highlight it, so you go through the mag pack with your prospect right away. Once you build the like and trust, the business part of it is the mag pack. You go through every sheet, give them a punchline. Don't spend 10 minutes on each sheet. You have 45 seconds. This is Canadian Jewelers, incredible story, very proud. Show your passion. You have no idea how difficult it is to get this type of endorsement from the major media. You know, you may be new, but it wasn't easy. So what you want to do is make sure that, you know, show your passion. 45 seconds, go through every sheet. There's about 6 or 7 sheets right there. Once you've done that, you take the lookbook. You kind of go through that quickly. You don't want to go page by page. No, you kind of go section by section. What you want to touch on, the most important part to touch on, very, 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 extremely very important, is that very so elaborate. People tend to think it's too expensive, I can't afford it. You want to make sure to talk about the Ferry for All, which is 300 items for under $300 retail, which means their cost is $150. We'll have items under $100, which means their cost is under $50. You want to make sure that you do talk about that. Touch on the celebrity, touch on again, the media is in there. You kind of skim through it. You go through the Ferry Mosh. You don't want to spend too much on Ferry Mosh because all those are very glamorous. People tend to think, I don't know anyone that's going to buy that. But it's good that they know that it's there because they might know some people who are getting married. Of course, we do know people do spend a lot of money for their wedding stuff. So you want to make sure that, so you skim through that. That takes you about 4 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes. It may even take 5 minutes. Doesn't matter. I got a 5-minute napkin presentation. It could take 7 minutes. By the end of the day, what the MacPack does establishes credibility for your business. So not think of it as one of those pyramid things. So that establishes that. The lookbook establishes the product. They know you got the best product. They see how glamorous it is. We know what the MacPack does, right? I don't need to explain that to you. It just brings your emotions high. So now you've dealt with two of the most important things. Incredible product. It's a legitimate business. At this point, now how do I make money? A lot of times people, all they want to know is that, how can I make a lot of money? I do the power of numbers. Remember, it starts with you, the power of numbers. You put yourself up there, say John, or use the prospect's name, Mary. I said, Mary, here's what's going to happen. If you brought 2 people this month, you know, who those 2 people will be? Give me 2 names. They usually give you 2 names, Sally and Bob. Okay, so you got 2 people. And then those 2 people, they'll use the same tools that you're going to use. They're going to bring 2 people next month. You got 4. Now those 4 people use the same tools. They bring 2 people each next month. You got 8. Those 8 use the same tools. They bring 2 people next month. You got 16. All these 16 people now are, all these people are your team. By the time you go to the 12th level, actually write it down, 4th level, 5th level, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, 2048, 4096. By the time you're on the 12th level, you got 5,000 people in your team. Now, here's what's going to happen, Mary. Everyone has a mandate to buy or sell $75, $35, $75, $150 a month. They all have a mandate to buy or sell $35, $75, $150 a month. Now, some go to a home party, sell 700, some sell 1,000, some sell 2,000. We're not worried about those. That's going to happen. We're not going to worry about those. Let's just add, those are gravy. Let's just talk about the monthly mandate that all these people will do, buy, sell, or $35, $75, $150 a month. Now, let's just take $150 a month. At $5,000, that's about $750,000 a month worth of revenues for you. Out of that, you make about $75,000 a month commission. That's how you build this business. They can now see how it can happen. Because a product, they know product is great. They know the business is great. They just can't see how to make a lot of money. So when you start showing the numbers, when you start to think, Mary, he says, well, if I give them in 2-person and I'm teaching properly, and indeed all they have to do is 35, 75, 150, that's doable. We're not asking them to do 5,000. 150 a month, that's doable. And they do the same thing. They do the same thing in 12 months. What if you did that weekly? Week 1, you had 2. Week 2, you had 4. Week 3, you could do that in 12 weeks. So that's what you want to do. But let's put it this way, Mary. This can be done. Do you agree this can be done? It's like, wow, I'm blown away. But yeah, 2 people, that can be done. Even if 10% of that happened for you, forget about this. Even if 10% of it happened to you, that's about $7,500 a month. Would that be enough for you to quit your job? Of course it is. Boom, that's it. That's it. I don't get elaborating to anything else. On the side, on the side of that little page of a napkin, right? By the way, there's other ways of making money which I will not elaborate. There's retail profits up to 100%. That's it. I won't even, you know. And there's matching bonuses. There is wholesale profits. There is car programs. Do you like Mercedes Range Rover? Yeah, company gives it away. I just keep it very high, 5-7 minutes. That's done at that point. They have a lot of questions. What I will do is this. At that point, either they want to see a complete tour. So if they ask you questions, look, you know what, if they have the time, if they actually have the time to spend another 15, 20 minutes, that's okay. You know what, that's an excellent question. Why don't I just show you our company video? On that, this is important for you. Number one, answer all the question. Number two, it's a tool you're going to use tonight to show this to your cousin. Because once you know what the video is, you can show it that night. So either at that point they're ready to go join you, or at least they're ready to see a complete tour. That's the 5 to 7 minute napkin presentation that I use for 14 years to build my distributorship. I just spend, now when you do it to complete tour is after this. Do you see that you can actually approach a lawyer this way? You can approach professionals this way. You're not talking about anything. All you're saying is show the power of numbers. The lookbook is glamorous enough you can show it to the Queen. The Mac Pack is exciting enough you show it to President Obama. The rest of it is basically showing them the power of numbers. And business people get excited about numbers. So that's what you got to do. The 5-minute presentation, and once they're ready to get started. I want to finish up with an announcement. I think it's programmed now, and if it's not up already in your back office, it will be this week. The renewal package. We have, first let's talk about the renewal real quickly. It's $194 a month. I was just driving one day and I started to think. And, you know, I want to know the status of my business all the time. And I get some stats that come to me every morning when I get to my office. There's a stats underneath my sheet, a sheet underneath my door, and I look at this. I'm very, very proud of our stats because I know what goes on with other companies. 6% ownership ratio, 10% retention. That's not us. Obviously, we're much higher. But obviously, still, we have half of our people that, you know, a little bit less than half of people that don't renew, okay? Or we have half of our people that don't go on their IA program. And I'm thinking, why? Why? And the renewal especially. So I start thinking to myself, like, we talk about $194 a year, which is $16 a month, which is 53 cents a day, less than a coffee a day, and 1/3 of Tim Hortons a day that somebody decided not to. And we get calls all the time, so we talk to them, and also Matt talks to them all the time. And every single day, we have within a 5-minute conversation, people end up renewing. We all know that the only reason why somebody doesn't want to renew is because they were neglected by the offline, they did not be communicated properly, and they were completely uninformed and left alone. We get so many people tell us, that, you know what, I don't know, I haven't talked to my upline for a long time. I didn't even know. We've heard this. People say, we didn't even know you guys were still around. Can you imagine that? 8 years of growth, but people get consumed by life and then get contacted by the upline, and they assume maybe something, they perceive the business through you at the offline. So if you don't call them anymore, then they assume, well, maybe the company's not run anymore. In any event, so at 53 cents a day, somebody came in, bought a package, something wasn't working right in their life, they came, bought a package, and this 53 cents a day at least represents hope for them in the future. Before they came to us, things wasn't right. They were hoping that this business would be the vehicle. Obviously, we know it is could be for anybody. It is for a lot of people. For some reason, they didn't commit or things didn't go their way. If they understood that, you know, like I can't understand how would somebody not want to renew at 1/3 of Tim Hortons per day, because we know what can happen in binaries, and every single one of you probably have a story like this, where just by being there, you're going to have a team built for you anyways. We have dozens of stories, people getting juicy checks because other people build large teams below them. And we also got people that come up 2 or 3 years later. It happens like almost every single month. Somebody comes and says, listen, I have not renewed, but I really want my old position back. Would you allow me to renew? So we get people coming back. So things will change. Even if the ones we don't want to renew right now, we know some of them later on will change their mind. They keep, or they run into a media, well, for media reports and see us a tip. Something happens, they run into a friend, and now they want to come back. So it's our job to make sure that they get the message, the benefits. Now, we send them an autoresponder with some of the key points, but it's your job to make sure that you call every single person, call all your first and second generations, and make sure that they renew. It's 1/3 of Tim Hortons a day. That represents hope for them. Just because of there, they could have this massive team built below them at some point, in which case that could become their NASDAQ. We want to make sure that we take the time to call those people. Now, that said, we have implemented a second position, and we call the holding position, which is at $59 a month. And the $59, and what it does is that somebody says, you know what, for whatever the reason, and we didn't actually do this for North American people because we know they can afford the 53 cents a day. We really wanted to do this, for international growth, which is India and Philippines and those type of things. Somebody says, you know what, I cannot afford right now, but I love the business, but I wish I could do it for less. So the holding position is $59, and what it does is that it pretty much gives you everything the 194 does, with one major exception, and that is you have absolutely no earning potential, not even retail. So, but what it does, you keep your position, you keep your downline at $59. So that now becomes, I guess, maybe in less than 20 cents a day, right? You keep your downline, and you keep your position. Now, at some point when you want to get back, become active, you upgrade to 59 to 194. And now you go back on IA and you're back in the game. So at least the holding position preserves your position and until you're ready to get active again. So if that holding position is not up already, which should be, it will be this week. And it's great because now people can, because I know some people do say, 194 is a lot. I'm going through a tough time right now. Again, it was only 53 cents a day, and I know for a fact the same people who say, well, it's a bit too high, they still drop by Tim Hortons every day, buy their coffee. But it's your job to make sure they understand the why they came in, what this business does for them, why it's so important to do renew at 194. But at the very least now, there's an option where they could do at 59. Now, the question that comes up is that, well, I know people who didn't renew last year, can they do that from last year? The answer is no. There is we got to look at our conscience, and integrity. We have hundreds of people every month that renew at 194. So for us to say, well, they did it, but so someone else can do it at 59, no, it's a new special. It's a new capability that software has from this month. So if the renewal from this month, not last month, if it's from this month, they can do that for 59 and the holding position if they want to. I don't know why somebody would do that, seriously, because I want to be in position to, because you never know. If you're going to MacPack, you pass on to someone, you make a sale, and if you're holding position, then you're not even going to be able to do that. Then you have to do the 194 all over again, right? So, but again, if someone's, they know they can't afford it and they're not going to be active for a while, I know most people don't want to give up the buying power with Ferry. I know they love it. They want to keep the buying power. So that 59 will allow them to do that, at least for personal purchases. They still buy it at the same level, the discount that they are right now, so it protects that. So again, another tool for you to make sure that you get everyone in your team, every single one of them, to renew with the holding position. We can talk about this for hours. So basically what I want to talk about tonight was the basics. Start using your utilize your home. You start becoming master of the living room, master of the coffee shops. The only tools you need in this company is a MacPack and a lookbook. No, there's no confusion anywhere. You have a MacPack, a lookbook, and you need a napkin. In the napkin, you have power of numbers. Maybe I'll do a video of this, put it on so you guys can see how I do it, but it's very, very, very simple. You want to make sure you're very organized in your meetings, your music, your host has to be very, very strong. Do the survey. Don't leave it on to them. You want to make sure that you do post-tour activity. If someone's ready to get started, make sure you introduce them loudly. Those little things is what makes all the difference, folks. the basics, and we're going to keep talking about that from this point on. So at this point, I'm going to pass it back on to Sherry. I'm not sure who it is, the host tonight. That's what I wanted to share this month. We're going to be talking a lot about the basics. I know David has his own topic next week, and I know Sanaz will be talking a lot about retailing and how she built it when she was on a distributor. As you guys know, she was a first President's Cup winner. She was a first top earner, so she has a hell of a lot to offer outside product about how to build this business. And I guess the biggest announcement this month is at the end of the month where the convention is going to be for the first time in our history. We actually have now other cities in the running next to Toronto. That's all from me tonight. I want to say good night from gorgeous Mont Tremblant, Quebec. Back to Sherry.
Wow, wow, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Lior Scaler back here on the call. And I just want everybody on the call to know that you are going to be getting an invoice in the mail for $3,000 for what you've heard tonight. I'm just joking, ladies and gentlemen, but that is how much this man has received offers for his training, okay, from $3,000 to $10,000, okay? This man's training that you've just heard tonight for free, the fact that you were able to get it for free, you should be taking this information and building yourself a multi-million-dollar empire. That's the kind of information you've heard tonight. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering if it was recorded, it will be, and it has been recorded, and it will be posted onto the Facebook GWT family group. We're going to be blasting it out. So if you have somebody in your team who has not heard this training, you want to make sure that you send them the recording and you never have them miss a training again. Okay, this was spectacular. I want to thank you, Ramin, for taking your time on your vacation with your children out in Mont Tremblant in Montreal, and that is a great lesson for everybody on the call. You have to make sacrifices if you want to have an empire. Ramin is building a billion-dollar company, and he's sacrificing his time with his family, and I know what his family means to him. So I want to thank you, Ramin, from every single person on this call for taking the time out from your family to spend with us, to be on this call, because I know how much you value that time. And I want everybody to take that as an example, to sacrifice things in your life to give you and your family a better life. Okay? If you sacrifice going to the bar or going to a party or going to that restaurant or having fun once in a while, I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying cut back a little to invest that time into something that's going to give you more time to spend with your family and loved ones in the future. Something that Ramin said that was very powerful is that we help people to create a future for themselves. So create a future for yourself, invest in that future, and you will have everything that you've ever wanted in your life, and you've just gotten all the tools that are going to help you to get there. So I want to thank every single person for spending the time to be on this call tonight. As Ramin said, to next week, Sunday night, we have our incredible VP of Product Development, Sanaz Human, sharing even more great tools for you to use to build your business. So once again, have a great morning, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are in the world. Take care.